Alex at Coram Deo Farm. So in today's video, I am creating a huge sun-loving perennial garden. But the kick is I am getting all of these plants for free. So not one plant that's going to go into the garden did I pay for. And I thought this would make a great video explaining how if you just built a new house, you just bought a new house, or you want to retool a landscape and you're looking at prices at nurseries and thinking, I'm never going to get this done. There is a way with effort that you can get a garden for relatively low cost. And so I want to show you how I did that and what I was able to find this time of year. Spring is typically when a lot of gardeners are cleaning up their space, they're digging things up and dividing them. A lot of perennials benefit from division because they just get too big, and sometimes that affects their bloom cycle and their relative comfortability in the bed. And so like hostas and irises and daylilies often get dug up and divided. And during that time, some gardeners just don't have the space to plant the divisions, and they either trash or give away a lot of these plants. And so that's a really great time to reach out to friends that you know have beautiful gardens, or Facebook Marketplace. Sometimes people will list things that they have for sale, or your local gardening groups, your master gardeners who typically have very mature, beautiful gardens, or like I have an Oklahoma gardening group that I'm part of, and ask. And that's a really great way to find plants. And so that's pretty much how I found all of the plants that I'm going to use. There were a couple wonderful, generous women that were dividing or just didn't want the plants anymore. They had other visions for the space and just felt bad trashing it. And so they said, hey, come to my house, dig up what you want. And I said, I will be there in 4 seconds. So everything in here is free, and it is just such a blessing, and it's pretty much like instant garden, which is really awesome. So let's get digging. we did it. I created a one-day free, more or less, garden with gifts from friends and a lot of hard work from myself, my husband, and my parents who are in town, which if they weren't here probably would have taken a couple days. But we are in this space. It is mulched, it is paved, the cows are getting really close, and I want to give you a little tour of everything we planted and that I got for free. So this is the entrance off of our fire pit. This used to be, and we'll put a picture or a video on the screen of where we dumped all of our soil for the raised bed, and it just looked a little trashy. We knew the grass would go through eventually, but it kind of still was a little bit of a sore spot looking at all of the brown. And I was offered a bunch of free plants, and so this idea just instantly came about in like the last 72 hours. So it's over this area and it looks way better. So little paver path for my kids to wander down, kind of like a secret garden. And I've got two cannas here. I don't know the colors, so that's kind of the fun thing about getting plants for free, is you don't know for sure. But these cannas love humidity, love heat if I give them enough water, and they are going to get pretty high, which will make for a nice fun entrance into the space. And then along the meandering path, I lined it with irises, which are done. So that's fine, I'll cut this back because he's done. So we'll just have some foliage to enjoy this year. But these are irises, and then lilies. There's a chance they might still bloom if I keep them nice and happy, even from transplant. Some of these guys look a little droopy, but I think they'll pop back, which I'm really excited about. So more lilies, more irises and lilies and irises. I kind of got a peek of what some of them look like in their color, which is super exciting. I've got a penstemon there, which the pollinators will love. Along with the irises and the lilies along the walking path, she had some overwintered gladiola, which is awesome. They're a little tipped over right now because they're not too happy with me, so I might come in here and try to straighten them a bit. But if I can get them to root in, they might actually send a flower stalk up this year, which will be very exciting. An additional varieties I got was an elephant ear. I am probably going to add a couple more because they're just so fun. They get so fat and wide. They don't tend to get super tall, at least I don't think these varieties will. It's a really good space to fill in around. Now, I got peonies, which I am so excited about. So peonies right about now in Oklahoma are either blooming or they're just coming out of their bloom cycle and are kind of looking a little sad. But her plants had freshy blooms still on it, so I got to see what varieties there were. I'll put a picture on the screen of the bouquet I got to cut for myself, which I am just loving inside. But her peonies were mature, at least 7 years old. The root balls were this big. There was no way I could have lifted it into the truck. And so we had to divide, which peonies do need division every about 5-7 years. And so 2 mature peonies became 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So with 2 peonies, I got 7 peonies. And I got a good amount of tuber root ball with each one. So there's a chance that most of them might even bloom next year, which is super exciting. So there's peonies just popped all over the place. Another great heat-loving, drought-tolerant perennial is this penstemon. It's coming out of bloom right now. I'm going to cut these off, and it'll send a new flush of flower stalks to enjoy. But it's a beautiful, light lavendery fuchsia purple. Super awesome. More lilies, more irises, more lilies, more irises, more peonies. A lot of repeats all smattered around. So in the back you see these flags. These are not actually my utility line, which would be terrible to be exactly right here, but there are elderberry rootstocks. Another friend of mine has beautiful, huge elderberry shrubs, and she had cut some stems and rooted them, and so I popped them in here, and I'll put a picture on the screen. But if they survive, elderberries get huge, and that would be a perfect screen, because this is roadside, to have a little more privacy and make this feel even more of like a cozy secret garden, and give us more privacy if we're sitting at the fire pit having friends over. We're not on full display from the road. So I hope the elderberry shrub makes it. I see the vision. Coming around the turn here, more of the same. So I didn't want to do I didn't want to do like giant iris block and giant peony block. I wanted them all mixed in. So there's a lot of repeat on this path. So more lilies, more irises. But here I have a catmint and a fennel. Both of these will fill in nicely, and this catmint will spread, and it's a very low mounding purple plant, and so it should nicely fill in this whole area and be like a nice puddle of purple to enjoy pretty much all summer. This sad little droopy man here is a hardy hibiscus, and my friend said that they produce big pink, pale pink flowers, and you know I love a good pink. So it looks droopy now. It's a lot of foliage to transplant. I'm probably going to come in and cut some of it back, but it grows on new wood. So the root ball should send up new shoots here in a little bit once it gets over moving to a new home. That'll get big. And then along the fence line here, I talked about the cannas. These are all cannas, and they should grow up at least to fence height, and in time spread and fill out, and it'd just be like a fence wall of cannas, which is just going to look so cozy and beautiful. I'm excited about that. I do have some open gaps, and I think in the open gaps I'm going to be planting some more irises, different color, and some daylilies that I also got for free for friends that were dividing it in the spring. So I think I'm going to have some drifts of daylilies in these open gaps. Here at the end, I think is a better shot of that purple penstemon I showed at the beginning. Is still not too unhappy from the transplant, but look at that beautiful purple that I'll get to enjoy all summer long. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And here we reach the end of the path. Let's come down close to this clematis. Look at this. So at the end of the winding path, tucked back against the fence, I was able to dig up a clematis at my friend's house. And look at these blooms. They're huge. So the plan is, it's not quite big enough yet, but the plan is for it to get long enough next year to wrap around this fence and just amble low along the fence line. Also, these cannas in front of it, I'm hoping will get tall and give it a little reprieve from the summer afternoon sun, which comes from that direction. So it's not super stressed living out the rest of the summer after its bloom cycle. So that's it. That's my free sun-loving perennial garden that I got from friends and from Facebook Marketplace, and created literally in 24 hours an instant garden. So if you have a landscape space or want to plant a new flower bed and you're overwhelmed with the cost, put some feelers out there. Ask friends, ask on Facebook gardening groups, and really get creative and see how many plants that you can get for low cost or no cost at all. So later in the season, when things get some height, I'll do another tour and show you how it's filling in. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got some ideas for your own garden space, and come back in the next video.